LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Well, already this is an extremely funny evening. There's a cab company that is going to consult a diversity expert in order to prevent an occurrence happening again, a recurrence of the event when two gay men were thrown out of a cab for for holding hands. And you know the best part of this story is that they were picked up outside a club that's called Gay. How was the cab driver to know? They're going to bring it up with a diversity expert. Wow. You don't need to be a diversity expert. I'll tell you what he's going to say. I'll tell you for nothing. For £0. Oh. And this. Oh, yeah, Oh, by the way, first things first. Thank you very much for everybody that sent me anything at all, particularly those who I haven't managed to thank because you didn't leave any way for me to get back to you. Thank you, Catherine. So yummy. Now, let this be the background hum of the programme. First World War trivial problem. Not World War. Cancel that. Nothing trivial about the First World War. First World trivial problems. This is one of these surveys that companies undertake for almost no money whatsoever in order to get their name in papers and on the radio and on television. And it's always about 1,200, 2,000 people, something like that, and that is the case here. But as opposed to most of these things where it'll say something like, like a vacuum cleaner manufacturer has asked people how they feel about cleanliness. And they come to find out that what you actually, the survey suggests that you need to go out and buy a vacuum cleaner. Big surprise. Well, this one is about trivial first world problems. Earphones becoming tangled in your bag. Weetabix not fitting into a round breakfast bowl. And being in between dress sizes after losing weight have been named on a list of common first world problems. So let that be the undercurrent to this programme, your first world problems, and nothing too trivial. Other issues which plague us daily amid our high-tech pampered lives, including Pims not being sufficiently chilled, the cleaner taking a day off, and the glare of the sun affecting the screen of our laptops. Having to stand up to reach for a cup on the coffee table also made the list. Wow! How pampered would you have to be for that to be, even to register as a problem? Another area of first world problems includes motoring. The car stereo not being MP3 compatible is also listed as a problem. As is, my car isn't MP3. MP3s weren't even invented when my car was built. I have to manually insert Van Halen CDs. Rock and roll! Which is actually probably not what I should be listening to when driving. Something a bit more calming, like Philip Glass, maybe. Groovy. Or, I don't know, something like hippie music. Not loud, aggressive rock and roll. Fortunately, I am a superb driver. Negative. Other first world problems are having a second family car, but not having room for it on the driveway. A spokesman for the company that undertook this survey, who would dearly love me to mention their name on the air right now, but I'm not going to, said, while we enjoy a lifestyle much more fortunate than some parts of the world, we still find time to moan about those more trivial problems during everyday life. And I thought, moaning? Well, the first thing I thought was the LBC audience. You were the first thing that crossed my mind. So, go ahead. Amaze me. The survey was carried out among 2,000 adults between the ages of 18 and 65, and all were asked to name their own trivial first-world problems. And they made a subsequent list of 75, amongst which my personal trainer took the week off, so I have to work out alone. I've been going to the gym for, as you can see, I'm so doughy. It doesn't seem to make any difference, never mind. But I don't think I've ever seen a single personal trainer that looked like they knew what they were doing. They just seem to chat. Maybe that's what people are buying, a friend. Others in the top 50, my wallet won't close because there's too much money in it. My brie is too hard. You see what we're going for here? Trivial first world problems. These are problems that do not occur in the second or the third world. My watch is causing unsightly tan lines. I've snagged my designer clothing. The batteries in my remote control have run out. You know, this sort of thing. So, over to you. Moan away. 0845 6060 973. Your trivial first world problems, please. This is called underarm bowling, ladies and gentlemen. You won't hear an easier question on this station all year long. Now, while you think about that, is anybody thinking about that?
No.
Apparently not. Well, I'll just keep trying. If there's one thing that I am, it's trying. As you heard in the news, the Ministry of Defence has spent thousands of pounds, not a small amount, huge, on calling the speaking clock.
What?
I didn't even know the speaking clock still existed. This is after they failed to implement a ban on the number. This is the organisation that is tasked with defending the country. Nothing to be alarmed. Since 2011, the government department has spent more than, have a wild stab in the dark, calling up the speaking clock. Just guess. Go ahead, name a number. No, you're way off. It's £40,000. What? £40,000. Well, you wouldn't think that's possible, would you? Don't they have watches at the Ministry of Defence? I thought they gave those out as standard. Or are they just calling the number to appear to their bosses that they're on the phone doing work, whereas they're actually just wasting time till the day is over? And besides, you don't need to tell the time off a watch anymore. We've got computers and mobile phones. Don't tell me they haven't got any computers at the Ministry of Defence. If that is the case, it would answer a lot of questions that we have about them. It's right there on the screen of your computer, the time. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. Last year it was reported that the Ministry of Defence had brought in a ban on ringing 123, which is apparently the number for the speaking clock. Who knew? And staff had been informed on websites that they could use a website to check the time instead. Well, what if you've got a computer to use the web on it? It's got a clock right there on the screen. How did we win 2 world wars? Honestly. They don't even know what time it is. Last year it was reported the Ministry of Defence had brought in a ban. Well, that worked, didn't it? Even with the ban, the final bill for 2012 last year was £18,804. And more than, guess how much this year? Well, they've really put their foot down this year. So far this year, £6,000 in... in ringing up the talking clock.
Oh, fabulous.
This is added to the £15,000 that the department spent in 2011. Staff at the Ministry of Defence are so keen to check the time that they've made more than wow. You know, it only costs 30p, which means that they've made more than 130,000 calls to the speaking clock. What's going on? There's something weird there. It's like I'm speechless almost. The speaking clock is from another time, literally. When was the last time you, dear listener, called the speaking clock? I bet, like me, you didn't realise that the thing still existed. Why would it? That went out along with telephone boxes. 130,000 calls during the last 2.5 years. A Ministry of Defence spokesman said, I can't talk now. Have you seen the time? He said, a ban was introduced to our newest telephone network, but due to a technical error with an environmental monitoring system, there's been some inadvertent spending on the speaking clock, which has now been stopped. What language is he speaking? A technical error with an environmental monitoring system. Maybe that's why the Ministry of Defence costs so much, they're using all these expensive words. He said overall spend on this has decreased from more than £15,000 in 2011 to just £6,000 this year since the ban was introduced. Since the ban was introduced, they've spent just £6,000 on it, on something that's banned. And that tells you absolutely everything that you need to know about the way in which the government sprays your money about. That they would refer to office workers surrounded by devices that tell the time accurate to the second, that they spend a huge four-figure sum on the speaking clock and call that amount just £6,000. Here's our first trivial first world problem. Call in Ashford. Hello, Robert.
Hiya, Nick.
Robert.
Hiya. Nick, basically what it is I'm normally out there in a taxi listening to you, and then it's great to keep me company, but I'm having a rare night off. And one of the things I was thinking about is my lawn in the front of my garden. How hard is it to grow a lawn these days?
Well, I don't know. How hard is it?
It's impossible.
Is it?
Which seed do you get? Do you get this seed? Do you get that seed? What treatments do you have? I'll tell you what, I've got professional people to come out. It's never looked so bad. And I'm thinking, how hard can it be to have a lawn, a nice lawn?
Yeah. To have a nice stretch of grass.
Exactly.
Want to score some pot?
Exactly.
You put some seed down, the birds come and eat it. But
Yeah.
the seed don't grow.
Mm-hmm. And then you turn your back and the entire lawn is covered in moss and weeds.
That's it. That's what happens.
What is a weed, by the way? What is the definition of a weed?
Who
I mean,
knows?
well, how does it differ from just being like a plant or a flower? Because weeds have flowers. Is it just because we don't like them? Are we discriminating against an entire genus of plants?
I think we might. And
Well, can you get back to me on that?
it never used to be that bad.
Right, OK, well, it's first on the list. Excellent suggestion. Thanks a lot, Robert. Your trivial first world problems. Why about grass and all that? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC. I have, by the way, more clock news coming up. Isn't that exciting?
No.
0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
I was hoping I could get my nails clipped and out of the way before you got here.
I had no idea what time it was, because I haven't dialed up the speaking clock. I'm still mystified by that. Why would anybody need to dial up the speaking clock, let alone dial it 130,000 times? I mean, that's just staggering, isn't it? When was the last time you were so bereft of a timepiece that you needed to actually pick up the phone and call somebody? I mean, you're sitting in an office, you're surrounded by computer equipment. Let's assume that well, it is a government IT project, so let's assume that no computers work at the Ministry of Defence. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. It only cost us £100 million, and no, we haven't been able to switch it on. If only we could switch it on, we could switch it off again. Amazing. But even assuming that none of the computers work, well, there's got to be somebody in the building with a mobile phone, for crying out loud. 130,000 phone calls. I mean, it almost implies that people are doing it as a job. That they're just sitting there trying to burn through the budget before the financial year clicks over, and they, because if they don't spend it, they don't get it again next year. Use it or lose it. Why on earth? I mean, why? Like, I'm speechless. But now, excellent news. US scientists say that they have built the world's most precise clock. A clock whose ticking rate varies less than 2 parts in 1 quintillion, or 10 times better than any other. The clock is made from the element... Now, I don't know if this is a word or they're just making their stuff up. Ytterbium. this is how it's spelled. YTTERBIUM. I am not making that up. It starts YTT. Ytterbium. It could be used for technological advancements beyond timekeeping, such as navigation systems, magnetic fields, and temperature. How can you... beyond my tiny mind. What's temperature got to do with time? Still, very interesting, eh?
No.
The stability of the ytterbium lattice clocks opens the door to a number of exciting practical applications. Well, that's an interesting word, interesting word use. Never actually heard the word exciting used in that context before. You know, context of being... boring! A number of really boring practical applications of high-performance timekeeping. Your ytterbium clock. While mechanical clocks use the movement of a pendulum to keep time, atomic clocks use an electromagnetic... this is the first time I've spoken today, so I should do, like, singing lesson. me, like that before I come on the air. Like that. While mechanical clocks use the movement of a pendulum to keep time, atomic clocks use an electromagnetic signal of light emitted at an exact frequency to move electrons in cesium atoms. Wow, this shows like an education, ain't it? The physicists built their ytterbium clocks using about 10,000 rare earth atoms cooled to 10 microkelvin, that is 10 millionths of a degree above absolute zero. And they trapped it in an optical lattice made of laser light. What are these people talking about? I have no idea. Another laser that ticks 518 trillion times per second triggers a transition between two energy levels in the atoms. The clock's high stability is owed to the large number of atoms. And because of this precise ytterbium clock, now the workers at the Ministry of Defence will know exactly what time they can knock off for the day. Oh, boy, that was a long way round just for that, eh? 0845 6060 973, your trivial first world problems, please. The difficulty in growing a lawn is the first and only one that we've had in so far. Weak. Never mind. Never mind, don't worry about me, I'll just carry on regardless. Can you believe that there's another banking scandal? Oh, Struth. When will this ever stop? Can't stand it. Another one. Britain's high street banks have become embroiled in another mis-selling scandal. Mis-selling. I love that phrase. It's just so benign. Mis-selling. It's like, oops, yeah, sorry about that. Oh, we've just had an accident. It's not mis-selling. That's what they're calling it. Another mis-selling scandal. They should call it fraud. And people should... well, if they call it fraud, then people might go to jail, or we might expect people to go to jail. But they call it mis-selling. It's like, oh, whoops-a-daisy. All they'll have to do is give some of the money they took back. Britain's high street banks have become embroiled in another mis-selling scandal after it emerged that 7 million people who paid for credit card and identity protection policies will share up to £1.3 billion in compensation. And by the way, to put that into context, £1.3 billion is what your average bank would spend on lunch. 13 banks and credit card companies, including Barclays, HSBC and the Royal Bank of Scotland, have agreed to offer redress for the widely mis-sold policies, with payouts likely to average $185 per person and begin next spring. I wish that I'd had insurance on a loan. I wish I'd taken out a loan. It'd be like taking out a savings account. It'd be like having a savings account that you'd forgotten you had. The Financial Conduct Authority said the firms, together with the CPP, the company behind the policies, had agreed to a compensation package with millions of letters being sent to affected customers from the 29th of August. I sincerely hope that you are an affected customer, dear listener. It's understood that Barclays which through Barclaycard is the biggest credit card operator in Britain, will pay compensation of about £100 million, which won't affect them at all. You and me, it would be a massive amount. To them, it's the change they find down the back of the sofa. This fiasco, the latest in a line of scandals to hit the banking sector. This month it was estimated that the cost of banks of compensating customers mis-sold payment protection insurance had reached £18.4 billion. And still their shares haven't dipped in any way, shape or form. It's of no consequence to them whatsoever. It's worth just trying to defraud the public and treat your customers as mugs as much as you possibly can, because the worst that will happen is that you'll have to give some of the money you took back. And if you think that they're not continuing to do this, that they're not trying to screw every penny out of the mugs that they have as customers, that they have amended their wicked ways, then I've got some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you. The PPI, the mis-sold payment protection insurance, had reached £18.4 billion. LIBOR rate rigging, the mis-selling of other products such as interest rate swaps, and the outcry over bankers' bonuses have also shaken the sector and led to calls for reforms. There ain't going to be no reforms. I mean, is there a single thing that the banking racket has ever done that they haven't recently apologised for? They seem to wake up in the morning saying sorry.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
And they know that that's all they have to do. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. And then off they go, doing it again. Any other less politically generous and rich industry would have seen its members in jail. But the banking racket's where the money is. And money is your original get-out-of-jail-free card. Here's some of the payouts that they're undergoing. They're endeavouring to unmiss sellers. £18.8 billion, that's the latest estimated costs for compensating customers mis-sold payment protection insurance. And then there's £11.8 billion total compensation after the personal pensions mis-selling scandal of the 80s and 90s. And then there's £10 billion, the bill for mis-selling interest rate swaps, supposedly intended to protect small and medium-sized businesses against rate rises. £3 billion paid out by banks and insurers for endowment mortgage mis-selling. And £195 million for the eventual bill for the split capital investment trusts scandal of a decade ago. And on and on and on. I mean, add all that together and it's like 18 plus 11 plus 10 plus 3 is like 6 and 7. It's huge. Huge! And they just carry on regardless. Staggering. In no other business would that be true. In no other business would defrauding your customers and treating the people that you do business with like mugs, would it be called mis-selling? It'd be called fraud. It would be criminal. Never mind, eh? We're all in this together and blah, blah, blah. Oi. 0845 6060 973. We talk about this and anything else that's on your mind. I'd like the undercurrent of the programme, with your good grace, to be your trivial first world complaints. 084, and if you can possibly explain how the Ministry of Defence can call the speaking clock 130,000 times, well, I'm all ears. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbot, LBC 97.3. The time 10:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Some nobody.
What? 0845 6060 973. Here's a call in North Fulham. That sounds like estate agent speak. Where are you really, Martin?
North Fulham.
Well, where's North Fulham?
Oh, some people call West Kensington or Barons Court or...
Hammersmith.
No. I don't want to be lumped in with Hammersmith. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I looked down nine noses. I don't even know what we look like anyway. Yeah, but anyway, I'm frightened by your complete lack of understanding of how watches and chronometers and clocks are made, and even the old-fashioned ones.
Well, explain it to me.
What? I think you seriously bad need to go to someone who, I don't know, in Guildhall or somewhere. They've got a clock collection of all these old timepieces.
You cannot tell me that you understood this new clock thing that I was
No, I'm not
about.
preaching that, but I never heard about those cesium clocks and all that stuff. So
I bet you haven't even heard of Whiterium.
Yeah, that probably sounds like a load of rubbish, and
it's scientific.
Yeah, it's something you poison.
Sounds like a horse is on the line.
Offended Russia and Russian motherland and Vlad the Insane with. Yes, no, something I don't know. No, but it's just no. But if you don't even understand why you have bimetallic or bialloy springs in old-fashioned clocks and all that stuff, and then that clock.
I don't understand anything of any technological.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even understand how phones work. How do phones work?
I can understand them, but you sound to me like you.
I'm an idiot.
You missed out on.
I don't understand how radio works, and I'm on it.
Yes, but you don't have to. But then politicians get pretty far without knowing anything either.
Is it radio? Are radio waves dangerous? They probably are, aren't they?
Some can be.
Yeah.
They'll microwave your brain. See, there's probably somebody out. Vlad the Insane is probably out to get you with some evil ray.
Well, you're answering a lot of questions that I have about you, Martin. It sounds like the radio waves are affecting your brain.
Yes, well, yes, obviously, no, there's something.
Turn your radio into the off position and move and move away from the kitchen.
Anyway, lovely show as always. I'm sorry you're having to do ad-lib a lot, but you're filling out very well, padding out very well, or whatever the expression is.
Yeah.
And you're always...
So, I'll tell you who else is padding out very well is David Cameron. Huge! And he was all over the newspapers today, and yesterday, and the day before, and because he's complained about it from now until the end of time. This will be one of those pictures that newspapers keep repeating over and over and over again. Like, the Private Eye... Well, first, two questions. Is Private Eye... Does it still exist? And second, are they still printing that picture of Neil... what's his name? That Scottish bloke. Does the... he used to edit the Times. Neil somebody, in the vest. I'm not explaining this very well, am I? But some people know what I'm talking about. All right, thanks a lot, Martin. Hounslow. Hello, Keith.
Hello, Nick. Good evening.
Keith.
Nick, three things for you, if I may.
Yes, thing one.
First of all, the atomic clocks and why it's really important to have really, 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 really accurate clocks.
Yeah.
The most obvious application that you and I would use is sat-nav. The more accurate the clock, the more accurate the sat-nav.
Really?
Yes, because what happens is, in order to figure out where you are, you have to use a thing called triangulation. It needs 3 satellites in the sky to figure out where you are on the ground. And all those satellites have to know exactly to the fraction of a second where they are in relation to each other. And so, because the speed of light is involved, and therefore that way, to work out where you are, the more accurate the clock, the more accurate the positioning. So, to be honest with you, I mean, it's probably for the American military. So not only can they land a missile on a building, they could probably now land one in a specific room in a building with this kind of technology.
Yeah, they could land one in the school that's sitting next to the building that they were aiming at.
Well, obviously they'd hope to land it in the building they were aiming at, but they basically means you can be a lot more accurate with things like sat-nav and therefore missile navigation and all that kind of thing.
Well, I suppose that, even though we, rightfully dislike everything that they do and stand for, sometimes that we have to thank the military, particularly the American military, who have all of the money in the world for, certain advances in technology, like
sat-nav.
Yeah.
Without GPS, without satellites for the American military, you wouldn't have sat-nav.
What else?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of other things, and probably advanced materials, again, advanced engine technology, advanced ship technology, that kind of thing.
Right, you're just making this stuff up now, aren't you?
No, not at all.
We got them to thank. We got like armor-piercing bullets. Without the military, we wouldn't have those.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole load of things we'd be better off without if we didn't have the military. But there's swings and roundabouts.
So that's why we need an accurate clock, so we always know where we are.
The more accurate the clock, the more accurate the sat nav. Absolutely.
Right. Okay, good work.
That was the first thing.
Oh, that's thing one, right?
That's thing one. The second thing was the Ministry of Defence. I was listening to when you read out their press release, and it mentioned something about environmental monitoring was part of the reason for all these calls.
Here it is. A ban was introduced to our newest telephone network, but due to a technical error with an environmental monitoring system, there's been some inadvertent spending on the speaking clock, which has now been stopped.
I'll tell you what that sounds like.
What does that mean?
Okay, well, a lot of buildings now have monitoring devices, and when they detect something that might be wrong, they will phone up a telephone number to alert somebody. A bit like an automatic text message type system. And what people sometimes used to do was use the speaking clock as a test when they put the equipment in to make sure it worked, and then they would change it over to the telephone number they were supposed to call. So it sounds like what's happened is someone's put the equipment in, hasn't changed it from the speaking clock, it's tried to communicate to say, I've got a problem, it didn't get a response it wanted, and therefore it tried again, and it tried again, and it tried again, and it tried again, and so on and so on and so on.
Oh, my.
I'm not making an excuse for them, but that sounds like what it could be.
I am stunned. So it's not people wasting time while they're supposed to be working, it's just plain old-fashioned stupidity.
Oh, I'm sure there's people wasting time as well when they're supposed to be working, but that's why I think there's been quite so many phone calls that have been reported about this kind of thing. And then the final thing was you asked about trivial first world problems.
Yes.
I've got the dooziest of all trivial first world problems for you.
Lay it on me, baby.
Right, I enjoy travelling. It's one of my passions is travelling.
What, on the tube?
And so I do think... No, on the planes to different countries. And so I collect lots of frequent flyer miles and this kind of thing in the hope that I can use them to go places in the front of the aircraft. So, I mean, imagine my horror when I tried to book a flight to Australia and I couldn't get to use my air miles to travel first class and I had to travel business class instead. I mean, how disgraceful, frankly. I mean, you want a first world problem? I think that just about is the most insignificant, trivial first world problem you're going to come up with.
Well, not really. I mean, what do you get in first that you don't get in business? Flatbeds?
Oh, no, you get flatbeds in business as well. You get sort of slightly better champagne, you get slightly bigger seats, slightly bigger bed. But in general, it's not that much different, to be brutally honest.
Well, so presumably they didn't want you to fly first because you're not their sort of person.
Very possibly.
Well, I mean, if you're calling me from Hounslow, that's a dead giveaway for a start, isn't it? No one from Hounslow has ever flown first class, and I think you'll find that is right.
Correct.
No offence.
None taken. Well, not that much anyway.
Good work. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
0845 6060 973. His frequent air miles wouldn't allow him to get upgraded to first. What a disgrace. I cancelled I got one of these credit cards, where you get miles or points, and points make flights. You get 1 mile for each pound that you spend. And I thought, wow, that's good. Because from here to Paris, it's like about... it's about 500 miles to Paris. 600. It's about 7,000 miles to Paris. And so I thought, well, I only have to spend £7,000, which I could do in like 3 years, and then I get a free flight to Paris. But that's not true at all. I worked out that you'd have to, and of course you have to pay the taxes on top, and that's most of the cost of the flight. But just for the almost free part, where you get to sit in a plane, I would have had to spend something like £50,000 just to go to Paris. I am stunned. I believe that credit card was mis-sold to me. Where's my compensation? It's calling Ilford. Hello, Helen.
Hi, Nick.
Helen.
I think one of my first world worries is similar to yours. It really bothers me that I've never let anyone mis-sell me PPI, and therefore I can never claim any compensation.
Yeah, I'm irritated by that. I actually am. Where's my free money?
Well, exactly. I once took out a store card, and it had a little box with a tick in it, which, when I read the small print, said I agreed to take out PPI with this card.
Wow, they pre-ticked it for your convenience.
So I said, I'm not having this, and crossed it out. And we should let it go now. I could claim thousands.
I know, it would be like winning the lottery.
It would.
Not a massive amount, but, every little counts, eh, Helen?
Well, it does, and I've got another one. Now, this really bothers me, Nick. I'm sure you'll understand. I've only got 20 megs of broadband. I mean, where's my super fast broadband? The 20 megs, it's nothing. How can I cope?
What are you downloading, Helen?
Well, not a lot, but, the fastest stuff out there, and I want my share.
It sounds like a massive amount to me, but, too much is never enough, right?
Well, something like that. Mind you, if I'd faster broadband, I'll probably have to get a new computer. It'll probably blow up the old one.
Oh, don't get me started on the, what's the phrase? I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. The manner in which modern things deliberately break down.
Oh.
Planned obsolescence. That's right. The planned obsolescence of the computer business. Don't get me started on that, Helen.
All right, don't get started on that. Think about something else.
I will. So happy thoughts, like bunnies and flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. And how difficult it is to grow lawns.
Exactly. Thanks a lot, Helen.
Cheers.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. Well, I can't believe that it only took about 10 seconds to get the answer to why the Ministry of Defence have made more than 130,000 calls to the speaking clock. That seems like a more reasonable explanation that fella came up with than just having so much time on their hands as ordinary office grunts at the MOD to be like staring wistfully out the window, waiting for it to be time to go home. And so they're bringing up the clock all the time. That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I was really trying to get my head around it. It doesn't make no sense. It could be, as he said, that makes perfect sense. Some dope installed a computer system that alerts them to some problem going on. Warning! Somebody has walked out of the building with armfuls of secret files, that sort of thing. And every time it detects something wrong, like somebody is using a mug that's not their own, or have hung their coat on someone else's coat hanger, this pathetic office politics that everybody gets subsumed under. Every time something like that happens, then it sends out a warning call. But the default position on the computer system is that it dials the speaking clock, because that's just like an easy number for... Even a computer could remember that. It's just 1, 2, 3. And so nobody reset it, and so every time there's a problem at the MOD, it dials the speaking clock and unburdens itself all over the clock. That actually is it's not time wasting, and it's not that they're deliberately wasting our money. It's just that they're stupid. Is that the reason? That sounds more believable. Yeah, I actually believe that. 0845 6060 973. Is the job centre useless? There was this story about, talking about, throwing our money around on stuff that doesn't work. Did you read about this businesswoman who has criticised a useless job centre staff who directed 100 applicants to her, but not one single one was interested in the job she was trying to fill? She's a woman called Jean Rasbridge. She said the job centre was wasting everyone's time after candidates either failed to show up for interviews or even start a job once they were hired. You've got to be almost admiring of somebody who is in unemployment, and then somebody gives them a job and they're like, oh, nah, I can't really be bothered. It's early, I'm tired. This woman claims that the government-run job centres, were simply helping the unemployed to tick boxes so that they could keep their benefits. They should pre-tick the boxes for their convenience. Learn a lesson from the banking racket. Jean Rasbridge, who co-founded a firm that sells electronic cigarettes, was initially pleased to receive almost 100 applications for an £8 per hour post as a warehouse packer. That's how much do you earn a day on £8 per hour? Say it's 8 hours a day, minus 1 hour that you don't get paid that you have lunch. Luncheon munchin'. So that's 7 times 8. It's about £100 a day. It's £100 a day, and people turn their noses up at that. Of the 7 job seekers who were invited for an interview, of the 100 that applied, only 2 showed up. Comical. I mean, I could be appalled. I've decided to be amused. Even the one candidate who was offered the position failed to turn up. Last night she said her firm had stopped using the job centre to find staff after her nightmare experience. She said, I found the job centre completely useless. And other people in our industry say the same thing. The applicants who applied were obviously just ticking boxes to keep their benefits. It was a complete waste of time for them, for the job centre, and for us. She says they weren't interested in working for us, even when we showed an interest in employing them. Problem started in August last year when the firm, who would love me to mention their name on the air, but I'm not gonna, placed an advert with the job centre in, I've got no idea how to pronounce that, and I'm half Welsh, Gorseinon, near Swansea. Gorseinon, I don't know. Who cares? After sifting through the candidates, some of whom came from as far as Glasgow. Well, you ain't going to commute from Glasgow for £8 an hour, are you? Even if that does add up to £100 a day. Even, like, she sifted through the candidates, some of came from as far as Glasgow, and she realised that few had any intention of working. By the end of the second day, she said, we were getting on for 100 applicants from all walks of life. People with PhDs, teachers, lecturers, some of them from quite a distance away. We had one from Glasgow, she said, but then it suddenly clicked with me that they were just filling in the forms to retain their benefits. Under rules introduced last October, job seekers can lose their benefits for up to 3 years if they repeatedly refuse to actively seek or be available for work. It's another one of these dopey government schemes that has the exact opposite result than that which was intended or stated. Oh, we're going to fix all this, said Desperate Dave and his henchmen. And what they've actually fixed is people from job centres being sent to waste people's time. What they actually want to do is, well, not all of them, of course. Let's not paint them all with the same brush. But presumably the people that showed up for this job that weren't interested in the job, even the one that was hired to do the job and didn't show up, presumably what they actually want is to just lie on the sofa all day watching Jeremy Kyle or Top Gear reruns. And to be given a cheque at the end of the week. And because they're not allowed to do that anymore, because they can't, sit around and loaf, they have to pretend that they're interested in working, then the job centre has to go through this whole rigmarole of sending them out to jobs that they don't want to do. And if you don't want to do a job, then there's absolutely no point in going along to apply. You're just wasting everybody's time. And so this was what this new government initiative. They must have hugged themselves over at the Conservative Central Office when they came up with, we've solved the benefits crisis. No, you haven't. You've just made it worse. It sounds like the government. Jean Rasbridge, the woman who sells these electronic cigarettes, she said the government should make it less attractive for job seekers to claim handouts. He says when they've got to get up at 8 in the morning, catch a bus to work and stay till 5, there's not much incentive to do so when they're managing well on various benefits, she said. It's too much like hard work. They'd be better off saying, look, I don't want to work, just give me some money. It would stop everybody wasting their time. Which is exactly what I just said. When we advertise privately, we aren't inundated with applicants, she says, but they are of a much better quality. They actually turn up for an interview. And the journalist who was writing up this story contacted the job centre, which was, as you should do, and they wanted a quote. And a spokesman from the job centre said, "Oh, no, it isn't," or words to that effect. So do you have any experience with the job centre on either side of the divide? 0845 6060 973. I also want your trivial first world problems, please. And on that subject, here's a call in Tunbridge Wells. Hello, Mark.
Good evening, Nick. How are you? All right?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I go to the library to use the computer in there, and my first world thing is you put in your library card number, and you put in your PIN code, and then it says, right, you're going to log on, and you sit there, and then you get an hour. You get allocated an hour, free hour in the library, and then by the time it actually switches on and you're connected to the worldwide wait, as you call it, it's about 3 minutes, and you sit there and you sit there and you can hear yourself going, oh yeah, 3 minutes of my precious time waiting for this thing to start up. In the old days, it used to be about 10 minutes. They were so slow, and this is the new system, and they are really, really good. But we are so spoiled and fat and lazy in this country, and in the first world, that you sit and go, 3 minutes, that's disgraceful, and you just sit there and moan a bitch. The job centre, I know someone who went in the job centre yesterday, and they said, we've got no computers anymore, they've taken the computers away.
What?
And he said, well, where's the... Yeah, he said, they've taken away this in Tunbridge Wells. But, you know, this guy, a Turkish guy, he comes to Tunbridge Wells, he went to the job centre, he went, oh my God, he says, it's like a palace. When you go in, there's no jobs in there. He says, the building's like a palace, the staff live in a palace, right? But there's nothing in there. And they're just all sitting there, it's like something like the Soviet Union, they're all sitting there going, no, the beetroot crop this year and the tractor factory, throwing out lots of tractors and lots of beetroot.
What do you mean they've got rid of their computers? How do you...
They said, the guy said to me, went in there, this guy, he said, there's no computers, they've taken the computers away, and he said, how do we get the jobs? And he went, go to the library and log on to the computer, the job centre online, and then, what was the thing? I went...
But doesn't he know how long these computers take to power up? 3 minutes!
Yeah. I'm sitting there going, what are these people doing to me? So there's no jobs in the job centre. There's just now, the job centre's just there to go and sign on and get your money. They just go, here's your money. And then the new job centre site, the old one under Labour, was the little job centre logo. You go in and you look it up, and it's just like being in the job centre, looking at jobs, and there's no problem. Now, under the what do they call it, the coalition, there's the new job centre site. You go on, right, and then you look at the job, and then there's this thing that comes up with all these questions, and it says, why aren't you taking this job? You're qualified for this job. You should be taking this job. We're asking you. It goes, and it's almost like, we know where you live. You should be taking this job. And then you have to put in this new serial number, and then they look at it, and now they compile all this evidence, and all the people that go on the site, and if they're not going for the job, they then start looking at you and going, yeah, why aren't you? What? And you go, oh my God, Big Brother is here. And it's really scary that if you don't take the job, then they're going to start saying to you, we know you're logging on, we know you're looking, and we know you're not taking these jobs. Why aren't you taking the jobs? And you go, you know what you just saying about that lady, like that £56 a day for that job?
Yeah.
When I talk to, like, in Tunbridge Wells, loads and loads of Polish people, and then you say, oh, you know, what's it like? And they go, oh, there's 3 of us living in one flat, and Tunbridge Wells is really expensive for housing. And then they're coming from a place where, when you say how much is a pack of cigarettes in Poland, they say, oh, it's like £2 for the really most expensive pack of cigarettes, and go, for me, a pack of Benson hedges is £8 here. And then people say, why aren't English people taking the jobs? You go, a pack of fags is £8. They're going to give you £8 an hour. And you go, your council tax. Once you pay your council tax and your rent and your fares and this and that, and so many people say, you can't work. You can't.
Seriously, just on that one point there, Mark. Seriously, give up cigarettes. Stop giving money to mass killers.
Okay.
Will you do that for me?
No, I gave up ages ago. But I'm saying if I wanted to, that's the brand that I used to smoke, was like B&H, and they're like £8 a pack, and you go, well, you can't afford to smoke here, you can't afford to do anything. But
I remember when I were a lad that the newsagents just outside the school that I went to used to sell them in singles for 10 pence to school children in their uniforms.
Exactly. We used to have that. I used to live in Peckham. I grew up in Peckham, and there was always one shop you could go in there, and you could buy single fags, and everyone knew it was wrong and it was bad, but we loved those people for selling us one cigarette because we enjoyed our fags back in the day. We used to smoke number 6 and number 10, and
yeah, Capstan full strength.
Oh, leave it out. You're not that old, are you? Anyway, yeah. So that's it. I think the whole system now with the job centres and the wages. These people, this little baby that's just been born. This Prince George, whatever his name is.
No, I haven't heard anything about that. Was it in the news?
Yeah, there was a baby. There was a royal baby.
Right.
And yeah, and you think if they actually said, say, look, we're told we're all equal. Say that little baby, bless him, why don't they enroll him at a school in Peckham and spend all his school life? No, seriously. So, right, he's going to go to a nursery school in Peckham, an infant school, a primary school, and then
I think introduce him to Peckham, and this will be the noise you hear. Yeah, that'll be Will's, not the baby.
Let him go to a grown-up real school in the real world, and then we might have a proper king, mightn't we?
Dream on, Mark. 0845 6060 973. A very serious, trivial first world problem is you have to wait 3 minutes for your computer to boot up. And I feel his pain. You have to wait 30 seconds to wait for the kettle to boil. You have to wait the full 3 minutes to cook your food in a microwave. How do we manage? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbot, LBC 97.3.
On FM. LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
I can't get over that. That cab company is going to bring in a specialist diversity expert. That sounds like a racket, don't it? And the story was, in case you missed it, a cab driver threw a gay couple out for holding hands. And so the cab company is now going to consult a specialist diversity expert to ensure that no such occurrence is repeated. I think the modern world is amusing. How about you? I could be a specialist diversity expert. I'm sensitive. Here's what they'll say. They'll say, don't throw people out of the cab for holding hands, and that'll be £100,000, please. A specialist diversity expert. I tell you what cab companies do actually need, and I don't mean black cab companies, because I have absolutely no complaints of any kind with the black cabs. Mini cabs, on the other hand, huge. Mini cab companies, especially the big ones, should have some sort of black box recorder in their cab to see how fast their drivers are going. I take one a couple of times a week, and I am usually, quite often, I have to close my eyes. Either I correct the driver, which I have done several times, and on one, a couple of occasions, it's led to an incident. You know, I'm polite-ish. I will correct somebody if they're doing something wrong. If they're driving me in a manner that appears as though they're auditioning to be an F1 driver in the middle of the night in the middle of London, they're going 50 mile an hour in a 30 zone, and they're undertaking and they're driving really aggressively, then I will correct them because they need correction. And that's just right. I'm the passenger, and it's only by dint of me being in the back that they're getting paid for this trip. And so sometimes you need to tell them, you know, can we please keep it under 30 and don't tailgate and don't drive like a nutcase. And one time I did, I had a screaming match with this guy. I thought this is going to end up, he's going to stop the car and we're actually going to be fighting on the side of the road. We were screaming at each other. This guy was completely insane. He shouldn't have been in charge of a bicycle, never mind about a cab. But almost without fail, they're breaking the law in some way or other, or at least the spirit of the highway code. I mean, there should be some sort of warning sign, you know?
Warning, warning!
There should be like a black box in the car that immediately dials the speaking clock if ever they see, something untoward. If they were being watched, then they certainly wouldn't speed if, like, some warning sign flashed up and alerted someone at Central Command that they're not driving right. I'm correct about that, aren't I? I'll add it to the things that I am correct about. James Max is going to be on tomorrow. He's going to bring you the latest news from war-torn Syria. I'll sound a little less cheery when I say that. He's going to be bringing you the news from war-torn Syria and all you need to know about this year's Notting Hill Carnival. He's going to be talking to the organisers of Europe's biggest street party about what you can look forward to this bank holiday weekend. I'll look forward to not going. That's what I'm looking forward to. He's also going to be talking to actor Matt Damon. He's actually going to be speaking to Matt Damon. It's his new sci-fi film called Elysium. That's what Matt Damon is going to be talking about with James Max, Saturday morning from 7, LBC 97.3. Some texts and emails. First world problems, your trivial first world problems, please. Jockey says, my oven smells of salmon. Trisimp says, I can't Sky Plus 2 programmes while also watching a third, which every now and again is really deeply irritating. Mike says, here's a first world problem for you, not finding enough good cheap servants nowadays. Although given the rise in 0 hours contracts and unpaid internships, that should soon be becoming a thing of the past for our natural betters. Correctamundo, Mike. Correct. Yeah. The way they're selling a 0 hours contract. Oh, well, it's good for you. Yeah, right. Yes. Here's Brentwood. Hello, David.
Yes, hello, Nick. Just first world problems and also a quick one about the problem with the job centres.
Yeah.
I mean, I never used to have this problem, but now I've got a much better smartphone. I won't say the make, but I'm now continually obsessed about the battery level because the trouble is with these phones that just having the screen on chews up the battery. So
yeah, somebody's got to fix that really quickly. I mean, we need we've got the communications revolutions, we've got the phones, but they don't work because you can't use them all the time because the batteries run out.
Yeah, this is it. Well, I mean, the thing is, what you end up doing is actually getting sort of supersized batteries, which the reason you get a phone that was quite slim, and then to counter the fact that because it uses up so much juice, you end up getting a much bigger battery and making the phone twice as big as it should be.
Slinging a car battery to your back. Yeah. The phone is microscopic. In fact, it's so small you can't even see it, but the battery is the size of a car.
Yeah. Alternatively, you have to carry around two or three spare batteries around with you. But
it seems like that is desperately crying out for some genius to come and fix that problem.
Yeah, well, batteries is a huge issue, isn't it? I mean, it's going to plague us for years with cars and everything else. They still can't really solve it.
Well, whoever does is going to be richer than Bill Gates immediately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other one about job centres, I mean, I have unfortunately been involved with job centres over the years. I mean, the trouble is that, I can understand the problem with this woman and this firm. I mean, what happens now is I think you might put the job into your local job centre, but that now goes through the entire network, and because now that people actually, now they force them to go to interviews, that's why you'll get people coming down from Glasgow who really don't want the job, but they have to go, otherwise they get signed off.
Well, presumably the people in Glasgow were saying, yeah, I'll take that job, assuming that the people who were giving out the job would reject their advances, but by applying, they've ticked the box. I mean, would that be correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's all about ticking boxes. I mean, the thing is, if you really want to fill a job, you go to a private agency anyway because you pay them, and if they don't fulfil the contract, then, you just won't use them again. But with the job centre, they've got all sorts of different people with generally not very good jobs being offered in them, and most of the people are either overqualified or you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And I don't think most of these people, I don't think they're turning down jobs because they're earning so much money on benefits. I mean, even if you're on base unemployment, you're only getting about £60 something a week. I don't think it's that. It's just the fact that these jobs get advertised nationally, and they're just people have to. I mean, obviously, somebody travelling out from Glasgow to get a job in Wales is not going to. Doesn't really make an awful lot of sense, does it?
Not really.
Yeah, and the staff there generally. I mean, they have to get. They're not incentivised by earning commission. They're incentivised by obviously by as you say, ticking boxes.
Well, it just seems like another genius government scheme that has the exact opposite result to that which was intended. I mean, this happens almost everything that any government ever does.
I think, no, not just particularly this government. I think they're all the same, aren't they, as far as unemployment goes? I mean, I doubt if any of them actually go into a job centre and see how it actually works.
No.
I mean,
I bet they wouldn't. I bet they wouldn't know how to get to the part of town that a job centre is in. And where is Peckham?
Well, I mean, a lot of them are an awful lot smarter than they used to be, I have to say. But, I mean, I didn't realise of how the computers take. I can believe that. I mean, that's probably true. Because
that's insane. How can you do business in the modern world without a computer?
Well, I think what happened was that they used to have, I think most of these places used to have terminals in them where people could scroll through the jobs. Perhaps they've had those taken out.
Right.
It seems a bit short-sighted to me, but I can well believe it.
But then you're not an expert, David. All right, good work. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Ta-da, 0845 6060 973. Your trivial first world problems. Edward says, my first world problem, the introduction of compact discs which scuff and stick, while the lovely vinyl, speed 33 1/3, played well. Sorry, I forgot your birthday. Well, that's okay. I don't know who you are. Are you kidding? Vinyl used to skip all over the place. In fact, it was so bad that there are some albums that even to this day, like Dark Side of the Moon, for instance, there's still a point in it that always sounds odd to me because it doesn't skip. I grew up listening to that, for one reason and another. I mishandled my Dark Side of the Moon album. That is a surprise, isn't it?
Negative.
And it skips always used to skip in the same place, and it always, in fact, to me now, when I listen to it on CD, it sounds as though it's wrong, as opposed to it skipping on vinyl. Anyway, never mind. I'll add that to my list of first world problems. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yeah, somebody's been doing the maths for us. The Ministry of Defence spent thousands of pounds on calling the speaking clock after failing to implement a ban on the number. Stupid Ministry of Defence. Now, there's somebody who called in earlier on that maybe explained this for us. And if you weren't listening, then you'll have to pick up the podcast, which is available at lbc.co.uk. Or I might recap later on. But somebody has just suggested... Can we go back to the other screen? They've just done the maths for us. 130,000 times. The Ministry of Defence called the speaking clock 130,000 times in 2 years. And somebody's done the maths for us. 130,000 times over 2 years is 178 times a day. 178 times a day... They're calling the speaking clock. Now, if we further break that down into hours, so there's 8 hours working days. 8 into 178 is... I have no idea. Is the right answer. It's lots. It's a stupid amount. I bet there's not one single person listening to the show right now who's called the speaking clock in their adult life. I mean, why would you do that? The Ministry of Defence. They've got our money, and they're just spraying it up the wall. Here's a call in Bexley. Hello, Adrian.
Mr. Abbott, lovely to speak to you.
Adrian.
With the best soundboard in the business. I just wanted to share some of my kind of general frustration with the job centre, coming from like a reasonable, rational individual. imagine it. It's a lovely day, blue sky. I'm wandering up there, just signed on. Only been signed on for about 8 weeks because I'm recently out of work. Popping up there, and I've been telling them that I was in the process of moving house, so maybe my job search was going to be a little bit more vague one week than the other. And they said, don't worry about it, it'll all be good. So I was in a good mood, you can imagine, yeah? So I get to the job centre and I sit down, in a really good mood. I sit down to the guy and he says, oh, you got your job form? I said, yeah, there we go. Pulled it out of my pocket, and he's looking over it, having a good peruse. he's like, oh, see, you did 9 in the first week, Adrian. I was like, yeah, I said to one of your colleagues, I said, I'm currently moving out, so I said the computer was going to be boxed up the second week, and, all that palaver, and he's like, yeah, I can see you've only looked for 1 job this week, and I'm like, yeah, but my quota is 5 a week, so that's 10 a fortnight. He's like, yeah, but you've got to be looking at, doing 5 per week, because you're claiming per week. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I said, it's 10 jobs, isn't it? And you can imagine the kind of, he said, well, we might have to send these forms away, and I'm going to use a bit of discretion today. I said, if you send the forms away, what's going to happen? That someone's going to look and see that I've done 10 job searches, and then they're going to escalate that, and they're going to escalate that, and for what purpose? So I just kind of wanted to share that kind of general frustration of jobs working. I do feel sorry for them a little bit, but at the same point, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, but yes. Now, if a job was advertised to work in a job centre,
yeah,
how would you feel about that?
Oh, I'd do it because I love people like
really?
Me. Yeah.
Because it seems like it would seem like a nightmare to me.
Well, to be fair, most of the people there are nice people. They do their job, but fortunately for me, I've now got the interviews coming in, and fingers crossed I'm going to be back in work soon. But if I'm getting frustrated, I really genuinely feel for the people that maybe just struggle a little bit more, trying to find work. So I just wanted to share that frustration and just let other people know about it, really.
How did the move go?
Yeah, it went all right. I've been doing a bit of painting and decorating. It's not really my thing, to be fair. It looks all right, but, it'll do for now.
Is it magnolia? Have you painted it magnolia?
No, it's ivory.
That's magnolia.
whatever kind of swing you want to put on it.
It's kind of like an off-white, like a creamy type of thing. It's white, but not quite white, right?
Well, do you know what? I'm happy. The council gave me 275 quid to do it at my house, and at the end of the day, Nick, I can't say fairer than that, can I?
No, I guess not. All right, thanks a lot, Adrian. I'll do it at my house for 278 quid. Where's my free ivory paint? Thanks, Adrian. 0845 6060 973. I do... But on the one hand, like government offices, organisations are totally full of jobs worths because they know that there's nothing you can do about their behaviour at all. I mean, in extremis, the council or the government organisation that you're dealing with will use your money to fight you with. I mean, that part is just so irritating. Like, if you have a problem with the council, then it's not really bothered about whether you take them to court or not, because it's not their money. They're using your money to fight you with. It's like taking the club out of your hands and beating you over the head with it. But just to work in like one of these places, like I think there was a brief period in my life when I actually did sign on. It may have been just after university. Well, I did 4 years at Brunel University, and I came out with a BSc in to think for a moment there. What was it? Oh, yeah, psychology. So, obviously, I was completely useless to the workforce.
Yes.
And I think there was a period there where I had no idea what I wanted to do. Well, I knew what I wanted to do, radio, but I had no idea how to get in it. So I signed on for a couple of weeks there, and those offices, Struth. Well, this was in the in the early 80s. Painful. I can't imagine they've got any better. I mean, maybe the chairs are a bit more comfortable, but the people sitting behind the grill or the glass or whatever it is, or maybe it's just across a desk now. Still the same kind of people. Still, like it's being like a GP without any of the qualifications or the money. It's just a stream of just awful, whining, depressed humanity, one after the next, never knowing when one of them might launch themselves over the desk at you. But that's no excuse to be, an irritating Jobsworth, like that last bloke explained. 0845 6060 973. Here's a call on this whole cab thing I was talking about earlier. In Wembley, Abdul.
Hi, Nick. Good
Abdul.
evening.
Good week. Yeah, hi. Good evening.
Well, I was just listening to you on the radio, and I heard you slagging cab drivers down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know which cab you've been in, but nowadays they have a PDA system.
PDA?
And, yeah, PDA system that can actually track the driver and tell them exactly what mileage he's doing, what routes he's taking, where he's exactly. Even if you are 6 months later, they will tell you exactly the route they've taken, the speed.
The speed? It can tell you the speed?
It can tell you the speed he's doing, yes.
Well, in that case, if there can't be a single cab driver who is currently working that should be, because every single one of them, and I'm not talking about black cab drivers, I'm talking about mini cab drivers.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Every single one of them breaks the speed limit, in my experience.
No, that's true. Right, they might do, okay, but what I'm saying, in the office, they have a PDA screen, and they can tell exactly what speed the driver is doing.
Right, well, they don't use it then.
If you complain, and you can go to the office, they will tell you what speed the driver was doing, and if there's a complaint, they will take that on. It's not every
I don't want to
driver
go through. I don't want to go through that. If necessary, I will correct the driver and tell him to, just sort himself out. There is actually somebody in the back of his cab. Is he aware of that? And stop driving like a lunatic. I mean, I've had to say that on several occasions.
Obviously, yes, they are breaking the law, but as one time explained to you that, there is a procedure that we can check what speed the driver.
Well, I don't want to have to go through that. I mean, what's that going to involve? Me getting someone fired? I mean, I'd rather just like to tell them.
No, it's not that. It's not getting fired. It's obviously getting warned or something, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. How do I know what's going to happen if I make a complaint? Plus, there'd be like an enormous amount of my time.
They just pull out any time they want. You see, at the end of the day, they do sort of silly things. So everybody does silly things. Even the normal driver does a silly thing. But obviously, that's why you've got to put speed cameras for the ordinary people, and then you've got a PDA for the minicab drivers.
Right.
You see? So there is a procedure for everything. Unless they're still on the radios.
Right. Oh, okay, well, thanks for that, Abdul. I don't want to have to go through a procedure. You know what? There's the same problem with bus drivers as well. I've mentioned this before. I don't know what kind of training a bus driver gets, but it seems to be a training in torturing and injuring their passengers, giving them as bad a journey as they possibly can while driving something that's as slow and lumbering as that. But they seem to be they charge away from the bus stop, sending everybody that has not got a seat yet sprawling all over the bus. And they come to a screeching halt, reversing the procedure. It's almost as though they go through their training and nobody mentions the passenger part, which is the essence of a bus. Same with the cabs. But nobody really... I guess they show them where the... here's your steering wheel, and this one's the accelerator, and that's the brake. And then they just let them get on with it. There's no concept of smooth driving. Everybody should drive like me. I am a superb driver. I've only crashed 3 times. 0845 606. Twice was reversing out of the garage. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and tweet at LBC973. One text has just come in about the Ministry of Defence speaking clock fiasco, saying, I wonder how many of those calls from the Ministry of Defence to the speaking clock took place between 4:50 and 5. Shall we say 100%? The time is 11:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk.
So this whole Ministry of Defence speaking clock thing won't go away. This message says, one says that MOD is the Ministry of Dialing. Another, the time on computers tends to drift and be inaccurate. The speaking clock is far more accurate. What rubbish. Computers don't make mistakes. And another says, I'm a police officer. We call the speaking clock regularly to check various CCTV times. Again, one single accurate time source to coordinate footage from multiple sources. Does that make sense in the English language? Editing, please, before cutting and pasting. We call the speaking clock regularly to check various CCTV times. Again, one single accurate time source to coordinate footage from multiple sources. Well, I get what you mean. As the MOD coordinate military operations, I would imagine they use it for such purposes where everyone needs a single correct time source to work from. What rubbish. These aren't people on manoeuvres. They're just the people sitting in luxurious offices trying to figure out how the MOD can save money by firing soldiers. Calling up the clock. The only explanation that possibly makes sense is the one that was given to us some while ago. That it's the dope that installed the computer system over there put it as a default setting that any time the computer needs to warn anyone about anything, it automatically dials the speaking clock. That's what it was set up to do, as like it's a default. And then you're supposed to change the number so that the warning actually gets through to the right person. But nobody changed the number. Now, I don't know whether that's true, but it makes sense. I mean, it's stupid and ridiculous, and it's wasteful, and it's daft, and it would be another example of a government computer system that's gone wrong, and nobody would be remotely surprised if that were true. But what is surprising is that people are sitting around the Ministry of Defence office and calling the speaking clock 130,000 times in 2 years. I mean, that's just stunning. Let's have a call in Ilford. Hello, Gregory.
Hi, Nick. This is the first time I'm calling.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, Nick, I just wanted to talk about this. You're actually a small business based in Ilford. And
you work for a small business, is that what you said?
No, I own a small business.
You own a small business, righto.
Yeah. And we needed a couple of people to come help us out in the office. So we contacted the local center. They brought us about 6 people. We had a good interview week. We decided to take on 2 people. We took 2 people on, gave them training, spent time. 2 days after, basically, they didn't turn up for work. Showed up, called, and said, you know what, this is not what we wanted to do. We studied in university, and we want to do what we studied for.
Yeah.
So I had to let them go.
But why did they show up in the first place?
Well, that's the whole thing, you see, because they said it felt kind of like bad because we had spent a lot of time with them. We have a very good office environment. And I guess also because they knew we had to probably report back to the job center. But the thing for me, Nick, is this, right? All this issue regards to people out of work. I just wanted to say this. You know, small businesses also need help. You know, and so if people are going asking for jobs, why can't they rather be solutions to the problem to find out what the industry problems are to try and solve them? And then apply for jobs. So they will not be rather, you know, please give me a job, but rather, you know what, I've got a solution to your problem. Well, and anybody will be happy to take on anyone.
Well,
like that.
Yes, that's right. But I mean, you're asking quite a lot. I mean, most people can't identify a business problem and then provide the solution. I mean, that takes a certain set of skills that not everybody has. But it does seem wrong, or inefficient, wasteful, rude to, like at the very least, to show up for a job and then go through training if you have absolutely no intention of taking that job.
Absolutely.
So you're going to use the job centre again?
Do you know what? I'm not really going to bother, honestly. It's just, for me, it's just been a waste of time. You have to invest in a couple of computers for a small business. That is a lot of money for us that we need not have spent, you know. So really, I don't really know, what's the word, where we're going to go, because if you go to the agencies, they're pretty expensive. And so the small business is caught between, you know, the kind of like the devil and the deep blue sea.
Yeah.
You know,
honestly, I can't believe that any small business actually gets off the ground in this country for all the reasons that you say, but primarily for business rates. I mean, I just can't believe how much business rates are.
Well, I think for small business, we kind of like have some allowances from the council, which kind of like helps.
Yeah.
But the reason for my call is basically, I mean, the first time I'm calling, I'm hearing all these things about the job center. But I feel that, you know, I really don't know where this is all going to go.
Yeah, well, you fired the job centre. That is what you've done. All right, thanks a lot, Gregory, and good luck with your business. Some first world problems come in by texts and emails. Here's a first world problem: not finding enough good, cheap servants nowadays. Although, given the rise in zero-hour contracts and unpaid internships, that should soon become a thing of the past for our natural... But see, I read this one already. Well, the price of servants has gone through the roof. You would agree with that, wouldn't you? I've got no idea. I must be the only person on the radio who hasn't got a maid. In fact, I'm the only person I know that hasn't got a maid or someone who comes in and does. This says, the ticket gates in underground stations are too noisy when they slam close. I get a fright every time. Well, sometimes they are caught in... if you just go one by one, then it sort of gives you time to go through. But if you're in a long line of people that are going through, it seems to have like a seizure, like a panic attack, that someone else is going to get through without perhaps beeping their Oyster card, and it just slams close. I feel your pain, Alec. Frida says, I don't have enough skin for my fake tan. What does that mean? I don't have enough skin for my fake tan. Doesn't your skin completely cover your body? I don't understand. Am I being stupid? Here's calling West Hampstead. Hello, Peter.
Yeah, hello, Nick.
Peter.
These mad idiots at the Ministry of Defence, what they want, instead of spending £15,000 a year on the clock, on the automatic clock, they need the same type of clock that you've got on the wall, a rugby clock.
A what now?
If you look at your wall clock,
yes,
the second hand is saying 43, 44, 45...
Correct, the mundo, yeah.
Now, mine cost $7.99 from Lidl's. Yours probably costs more because it's bigger and more elaborate. But that's all these idiots want. They just want a rugby clock.
What's a rugby clock?
Well, it's not actually a clock as such. It's a radio receiver, and it receives a signal from rugby. And the time is actually bleeps that are received by, I think, it's medium wave.
Rugby?
Rugby in Northamptonshire or somewhere.
What's the rugby got to do with it?
Well, that's where they send out the radio messages. The clock isn't actually a clock, it's a radio receiver. And it receives a very accurate time signal, which is as cheap as chips for us to receive, and it's cheap as chips for the MOD to receive. And they could get a clock that works on this principle, like the clock on your wall and the clock on my wall.
But honestly, I mean, if you're sitting in an I understand what you're saying perfectly. You can get one for £7 in Lidl. Other supermarkets are available.
Absolutely.
But what I don't understand is, sitting in an office, you are absolutely surrounded by things that tell the time. Every computer, people wear watches, don't they? Even today, people still wear watches. And every single person who works there has got a mobile phone. I don't believe there's a person that doesn't. And every mobile phone has got a clock that's as accurate as anyone would need it to be.
Well, they might not necessarily be. I mean, computers are only as accurate as the person who set the time on the computer.
I thought that computers, divined the time by magic. Aren't they correct?
No, mine doesn't. Mine doesn't. I have to set the time, and the battery's low in the computer, and I have to keep resetting it because it keeps.
Really?
Yeah, it keeps running. It's got a flat battery inside it.
What stupid computers? They don't know what time it is. Can't they get it through electricity?
They could, but they don't. You have to set it. You have to go to control panels. And
stop right there.
But I mean, the MOD, if the MOD need it accurate to a tenth of a second, all they've got to do is to buy a rugby clock and for £7.99, and they don't have to spend $15,000 a year.
Oh, well, don't mention that to them, Peter, because they'll buy 10 million of them, and then they'll decide that they're come in the wrong colour, and so they'll have to buy a building to store them in, or it'll go on and on and on. But anyway, excellent advice. Thanks a lot, Peter. 0845 6060 973. Some first world trivial problems. My trivial first world problem is having to get off the sofa with the remote control as the batteries are insufficiently strong to change the TV channel direct from the sofa. Yes, I hate when that happens. And almost in the same manner that when you're abroad and somebody doesn't understand what you're saying, you just say the same thing louder. When the remote control doesn't accept it because the batteries are running down, then what you do is you just wave the remote control in the air and press the button harder as though that's going to send the signal stronger. It doesn't. Phil says, my first world complaint, having broadband that is slower than dial-up. I miss there's the only thing I miss about dial-up, but I miss that connecting noise, which I almost tried to impersonate for you, and then I stopped myself at the very last moment. Whew, what a great relief. To me. Mick says his his trivial first world problem is that there's too much froth on his cappuccino. I can't imagine what you're going to do about that, Mick. Here's a call in South Woodford. Chris.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Chris.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about how bus drivers make it awkward for passengers sometimes.
Correct.
And I had about an hour's bus journey today from Wanstead to Romford.
I am so sorry.
And when the bus driver pulled up, he pulled about 2 bus lengths away from the bus stop. There was no curb, and where he pulled up was a driveway to the back of the local shops. So there's no curb, so it was quite a height to climb up and get on the bus.
Yeah.
And he was looking out of his side mirror, didn't even look at me at all. And I noticed there must have been about, 25 bus stops after that he pulled up at least a whole bus length away from every bus stop. So the elderly, people with babies, people with shopping.
Yeah.
They had
customers,
to walk
you mean? His customers.
The whole length of the bus to get on it.
Yeah.
And he done it the whole way to Romford.
I don't know what kind of training bus drivers get. I mean, presumably there are some that are like perfect in every regard, but almost everyone that I use that drives me, I think needs retraining, or just training might be a good idea.
Well, yeah, but it just seemed to be so. It just seemed that he had a something about having to pull up at a bus stop, and he really enjoyed making people walk to him.
Well, how many times have you seen a bus driver, and it appears as though they're actually aiming their wing mirror at you when they swing in?
Yeah. They're either, like you said, pulling up at the stop as if it's just appeared all of a sudden, and they slammed their brakes on and they didn't know the bus stop was there.
Yeah.
Or today, he just pulled up the whole bus length away from every single stop.
I think that some just seem, either it's like amusing to them to make their passengers careen all over the bus as they scream away from the stop and slam the brakes onto stop, and they don't. They'll see you're the only person standing at a bus stop, and they either stop short, so you have to walk 10 yards, or as you described, they'll go, what's that about? It's mystifying. Either they have, just the job of being a bus driver is so onerous that they just get in a bad mood and they like to take it out on their passengers, or they're blithely unaware of what their actual job is, which is to make the the moving experience as pleasant as they possibly can for their customers.
Well, I do travel a lot on the buses, but this one was particularly bad, and nobody else was bothering, but I couldn't help but notice it because there was no reason why he stopped in a side road, and I had to climb up on it with no curb.
Yeah.
There was there's no cars parked or anything, but then I sort of watched it, and every single stop, he was a whole bus length away from every single bus
So
stop.
have you ever had cause to correct a driver, Chris?
Well, no. I felt like
Yeah,
it.
exactly right. You've thought about it. Yeah.
I thought about it. I mean, when I finally got to my destination, the bus stop was right outside the shop I wanted, but he stopped about 3 bus stops away from it. Bus lengths away from it, sorry.
Right.
And I got out and I sort of looked at him and I thought, well, now I've got to walk all the way up to the shop where the bus stop
Well,
is.
at least you looked at him, Chris.
I looked at him, yeah, but I didn't say anything.
No, you communicated through looking. Yeah, exactly right. Okay. You keep on keeping on. Cheers, Chris. 0845 6060 973. Looking don't cost you nothing. And you can communicate an enormous amount through giving them one of your patented stares. Let's have a call in Hounslow. Hello, John.
Hi, Nick.
John.
Got 2 things for you. The first one is about your Pink Floyd album that jumps.
Yes.
Well, I'm a fan of the Hollies from the 1960s, and I've got 25 albums of theirs.
Oh, painful.
Well, I like the harmony bands. Anyway, a couple of those jump. And what I do when I play those albums that jump, I get a box of matches, and I just balance it on the top of the pickup, the end nearest where the stylus is, right at the front. Balance it on there, and that gives it that little extra bit of weight to stop it jumping.
Well, I used to put 2p coins. Yeah, well, it does. I used to put 2p coins on the end.
Oh no, that's too heavy.
Now you tell me.
Box of matches is perfect.
Right.
The other thing I've got is about minicabs.
Yeah.
Last year I was in a minicab, and I don't know exactly what happened, but somebody overtook him, and he gave this guy the finger. And when we stopped at the traffic lights, fortunately for me, I was sitting in the front of the cab. This guy opened his boot, took out a golf club, and he stoked in the rear window of the minicab.
Really?
Yeah, and then he got back in his car and drove off.
It wasn't Jack Nicholson, was it?
I don't know. I managed to get the guy's number, and I gave it to the cab driver, and he let me off my fare.
Ah,
right.
right.
To get a number, yeah, but I'm glad I wasn't sitting in the back anyway.
Well, yes. Okay,
anyway,
smart move, John.
Good luck with your Pink Floyd.
Thanks a lot, mate. 0845 6060 973. Can you believe that? That nice man had 25 Hollies albums.
Boring!
Oh, the pain. Let's have... I'll maybe do a couple of these. There's so many come in, texts and emails. Scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. First world problems. First world trivial problems. My glasses take too long to go dark when I leave the house. At least 10 seconds, says John. I used to have those things. It wasn't the problem of them getting too dark, it was the reverse. But maybe technology has moved on. You'd walk into a house or from the outside and you wouldn't be able to see anything for 10 minutes. It would take that long to, clear. Dr. Mario says, people standing in front of me while I'm out running, and they just pause. Ron says, my Mercedes is so big it takes up the whole driveway, and I have to leave the Saab in the street, risking getting my door mirror knocked off for the umpteenth time by a not-so-careful driver. Trivial first-world problems. Please, 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. Emma Lemstead, hello, Chris.
Good evening. Packaging.
Yeah.
Would be great if you could open it.
Wouldn't it?
Wonderful.
You know what comes in a packaging that you can't open?
Well, your producer said toothbrushes. So I don't know how many she buys.
Yeah, and you know what you need to get into that packaging? Scissors. And you know what comes in packaging that you can't open? Scissors.
Yes. It's actually, or bacon's the worst. It's got like a little tab on the corner of it, which you're supposed to pull the tab to open the bacon.
Yeah.
And
It's
the tab comes off.
It's almost as hard getting into a bacon as it is pulling it off the pig in the first place.
I'll give up now. I'll just get a knife and straight in with a knife.
Yeah.
And the other thing, minicabs and taxis. I think they really ought to go to war and get this sorted out just for once and for all. But no, seriously, any excuse you've got, like, if a presenter mentions anything to do with cabs, you've got black cabs. I mean, I remember listening to Steve Allen when he was 5, and they were still phoning up moaning then. And then the minicab phoners.
You were listening to... Wait a minute. You were listening to Steve Allen when he was 5?
Yes.
Right.
It must have been that many years ago. But, no, I think if we sent them to war, and then whoever won...
Yeah.
We wouldn't have all these complaints all the time.
Well, it's a good idea, Chris, but we'd have to first decide on the location for that war, and only the black cab drivers would be able to find it.
Exactly. But the other ones could have their sat-navs.
Yeah, because they always work.
Yes.
Oh, the amount of circuitous routes that I've been taken home. I've seen all points of the compass. Sometimes we drift into different countries.
Well, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Right, bye now.
0845 Whatever happened to peace, love and understanding? That's what I can't understand. Get Elvis Costello on the phone. 0845 6060 973. Have you ever had any problems with, or have you had any experience with the job centre? Because there was a nice lady that said that she applied for, or people applied through the job centre to join her firm. And of the 100 or so that applied, the 0 actually showed up. That's a 100% failure rate. She said the service was wasting everyone's time after candidates either failed to show up for interviews or even to start the job once they were hired. Well, that would be irritating, wouldn't it? Go through 100 applicants and whittle them down to one excellent candidate, and even they don't show up. So she's not going to use them anymore. I had a call from a fellow earlier on who had kind of a similar experience. Do you have any experience with the job centre on either side of the desk? 0845 6060 973. And, this and... Well, and this story about the job centres comes at the same point as this story that 1 in 7 youngsters is still out of work. Is or are? 1 in 7 youngsters are still out of work, despite falling unemployment figures out yesterday reveal. There's close to, just over 1 million so-called NEETs. Not in education, employment or training. That's what that means. So says the Office for National Statistics that we just made up. Despite overall employment increasing by around 70,000 in the last quarter. And how they get to that figure, I don't know. I mean, they really just make this stuff up, don't they? Overall employment increased by about 70,000, or so they say. The number of jobless NEETs fell by just 1,000. So, in other words, if there is like an upswing in employment, it's affecting the 16 to 24-year-olds not at all. Skills Minister... There's a Minister for Skills? Minister for Skills. Anybody? Anybody at all? Hands up if you know the answer. Mike Hancock. He said we're heading in the right... He said, we're heading in the right direction. That's what Skills Minister Matthews said. It seems like, to me, that you're going round and round a roundabout. And if you're doing that, at some point you will be heading in the right direction. Union leader Dave Prentice of Union the Union Unison said the figures were shaming. He said it follows comments by a civil society minister. Oh, Struth, they're just making these titles up. There's a minister for civil society? That can't be true. Nick Hurd. He said this week that many youngsters lacked social skills, grit and discipline, as well as qualifications. The NEET rate was 13.4% in 2008. That's not in education, employment or training, just lolling about the place. 13.4% in 2008, 14% now. In other words, you're not going in the right direction, Skills Minister Matthew. Skills Minister Matthew needs a retraining. Up is not down. And it doesn't matter how many times you say it is, it ain't. I'm just saying. The phone number 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. Some irritating but trivial first world problems. Moo says, I have to change my Bluetooth headphones after 4 hours, which is annoying. And John says, I can never get my shoelaces to be the same length. Should I get married? Well, yes, John, but only to someone you know.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
I'm listening, dear. You can talk to me.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times I hear it, it's still funny. It'll still be funny in a year's time. A cab company is going to hire a specialist diversity expert to prevent the situation from ever recurring. And that situation was that a cab driver asked ever so politely if two gay men wouldn't mind getting out of his cab because they were holding hands. And in order to prevent this from recurring, the company is going to hire a specialist diversity expert. That's just hilarious, isn't it? Don't throw people out of your cab for holding hands. There you go. I've just saved you $100,000. And don't be surprised if your passengers are gay, if you pick them up outside a nightclub with the word gay in 6-foot luminous letters on the outside of the building. I am stunned. Nothing makes sense to me anymore. It's as though the whole world's gone insane. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3. There's a message just come in about packaging. The absolute worst packaging I've ever seen is shrink-wrap beetroot. It's like a surgical operation trying to get it out of the packet. Add to that, you have to do so without spilling beetroot juice all over yourself in the entire kitchen, and it's almost an impossible task requiring scissors, a knife and a fork, and a lot of patience. And when you do eventually manage to get it out, the beetroot has disintegrated into small pieces. Plus, it's beetroot. And how exciting is that? I mean, it's red, so it's supposed to be good for you. But absolutely, yeah. I bought beetroot on several occasions, and you eat one, and they usually come in those. Nothing else looks like that. No package of anything kind of looks like that. It's probably the exact same kind of impenetrable packaging that they put nuclear fuel waste in. And you eat one, and then you put the rest in the fridge, and you think, oh, I'll have those later. And then a week later you discover them, and they're just balls of fur. It's one of those things that you just never eat the whole packet. Here's a call in Battersea. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Nick.
Sarah.
I have nothing to say about beetroot.
I'm very glad about that.
Yes, I have nothing to add, but I would like to talk about diversity. I must admit I was caught slightly unawares because I did call you earlier, and then I thought I'd missed my chance. So I'm coming into this a little bit blind, but I do have a point to make, and it might be arrogant, it might be liberal, tree-hugging.
Oh, no. Go on.
I know, but I work in an environment in London which I believe is pretty undiverse.
Undiverse?
Yes.
Well, don't tell us the name of the organisation.
Oh, goodness me, no. I could actually, if I was going to, I could rip apart about 100 organisations that all work within an enclave in London, which is Zone 1. And
oh, you
you're a
mean the
Londoner.
city? Those people?
Well, not the city, because that's like the bankers,
Yeah,
Canary Wharf.
banking
But I'm
people.
talking about- Well, no, because I'm not a banker. But let's say Zone 1.
Right.
So Zone 1 is if you think about Zone 1, what's next to it? So it's Hackney, Tower Hamlets, Haringey, Islington. You know, all these boroughs that surround Zone 1, or they're in Zone 1. But I would, you know, if you walk into these organisations, now it's very male, stale, and pale. Now,
Very male what?
Male, stale, and pale.
Oh, stale.
You get, well, you know, they're kind of 45-year-old white guys, you know.
Yeah, they're fusty. It's like a bit of
Well,
a...
you know, if you go into the city, and I'm a great believer that diversity creates... diversity enables innovation. It supports...
But what do you mean by diversity? What does that mean?
Well, diversity to me, okay, I live in a part of London that's very diverse in that we have lots of people from different communities, and if I'm going to be really blunt, I'm going to say it's black minority ethnic groups versus white.
Right.
So I work in Zone 1, and anywhere you work in these environments, you know, you go onto the shop floor or, you know, the equivalent, and I don't see a great deal of diversity. And yet, for example, where I work, we are probably within about a 15-minute bus ride of Hackney. Now, Hackney, I know for a fact, is a borough that probably, I think from when I last lived there, had about 60% the terminology is BAME, black and minority ethnic groups. But when you work in the city, there's nobody, you know, everybody's pale.
Painfully white, yeah.
Yes.
Apart from
And
the
that
people who
really
come in after hours to clean the building.
Well,
yeah.
quite. And I remember a few years ago, about 2001, when I was living and working in Hackney, before it was very trendy in Shoreditch, and it was all, you know, media and creative arts and what have you.
Yeah, people
you know,
with beards.
When
There's
I
no
was
end of people in beards in Hackney. It's like a lumberjack convention over there.
Well, when I was in Hackney, you know, you used to walk around, and to me, you know, there were loads of yellow boards. You know, you're a witness to this, you're a witness to that.
Yes.
And, you know,
Yeah.
the yellow boards, they've kind of gone a little bit, but I remember getting to know some local people and a few mums and dads saying to me, you know, my son, Tyrone, he's good, he's done well at school, he's done this, done... And I was trying to broker some of these young lads into the organisations that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And I got absolutely nowhere, not even. Now, if we go back to the Windrush days, you know, everybody has to start somewhere. I couldn't even get them a job in the photocopying department. I will tell you a true story. There was a girl I was mentoring, and she was absolutely fantastic. She was clever, bright. She was a Hackney girl, and I got her an interview in, let's say, the Magic Four, or whatever they're called, you know, in a company that works in Zone 1. And she got through HR, she got through all the gates of recruitment, you know, cover letter, CV, this, that, and the other. And she got through HR, she passed, and then she went on to the shop floor, as I'll call it. And the partner refused her application. And do you know why? Because her nails didn't fit in. She had palm trees and diamante hanging from her nails. And she couldn't get a job in the support, in the business process outsourcing, in the business support function of that accountancy firm, because she had the wrong kind of nails. She didn't fit.
Well, wait a minute.
Now,
She had what hanging off her nails?
Well, she had palm tree. You know, she had long nails with palm trees sort of sprayed onto her nails, and she had a
Well, she went for a job
diamond
interview like that.
But what's wrong with that?
Oh, come on, that doesn't speak of being a serious person. She had palm trees hanging off her nails.
Oh, do me a favour.
I am doing you a favour, Sarah.
She could type. She was brilliant on Excel. She was fantastic with Microsoft Office.
Yeah, but you know what? Well, if it was just about the nails, then then I can kind of understand that because.
Really?
Well, yeah, really, yeah, because it doesn't speak of a business.
Because you don't fit in.
Right.
Now,
Well, that's the point, though. If you're going to go for a job, then you've got to fit in because that's.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
Diversity. No, absolute nonsense.
No, it isn't nonsense. If it's somebody as conservative as an accountancy firm, then you're not going to go for a job in a luminous green boob tube, are you? Because you wouldn't fit in.
That's an extreme. Nick, come on, rein it in. We're not talking about a girl going in with hot pants, you know. We're not talking about Daisy Duke here. We are talking about a girl who happened to have slightly unusual hand ornaments.
Yeah.
Now,
hand ornaments. You see, that doesn't seem like a business thing. That doesn't seem like you're dressed for work.
But why
if you've got
should you? You know, I
hand
don't fit in. My boss
ornaments.
pulled me in. Now listen, my boss pulled me in the other day and he said, Sarah, 90% of this business doesn't get you. I thought, oh, really? He said, you're different. And I said, is that a polite way of saying I'm mad? He said, no, you're different. So, and I am, you know, middle class, white, female. Yeah. You know, I tick the boxes.
Right, now, were you just describing somebody with the nails who wasn't what you've just described? Is that what you're actually saying, that she was refused the job because she was a person of colour? Is that what you're saying, or is that not what you're saying?
Well...
And that they just use the nails as an excuse. Is that? Am I reading between the lines here?
Now, I don't know. I honestly don't know because I've worked in the city for a very long time. But what strikes me is that where I work, we are surrounded by boroughs that have, you know, 50-50, 60-40, whatever. We have a very diverse community in London.
Right.
So how come...
And there's no diversity in the city. No, I'll agree. And if you're trying to break into the city, or any conservative organisation, don't have palm trees hanging off your nails would be my best advice to you. Because it won't get you the work, Sarah. It's giving them a reason to say no. And if you're trying to work for a conservative organisation, then you have to appear conservatively. I think I got that right. Anyway, I agree with everything you're saying, apart from the parts that I don't. Thank you, Sarah. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
This is LBC 97.3. LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Now everybody's happy.
Almost no one is happy. Have you noticed? 0845 6060 973. Your trivial first world problems, please. And many coming in. Needing a wee when you've just painted your nails. Oh, Laura, I know. Losing 3G when you need it. Does my head in? Are they watching me and turning it off for a joke? Says Andy. Good one. Caroline. First world problems are chocolate emergencies, hating my hair, and general neurosis. Simon says, when you go to a big event like Ascot or Henley and they serve your champagne in a plastic glass. What? Oh, I definitely feel your pain. Your trivial first world problems, please. 0845 6060 973. Here is Stratford. Hello, Susan.
Hello.
Susan.
It's been said tonight that it's cheaper to buy a new product than get things mended. I've managed to break my Hoover, so it's cheaper to go out and buy a new one.
Vacuum cleaner, you mean?
Yeah. And, I'm sweeping, I'm using the brush again.
And how is that working out for you? Perfectly,
Fine,
I
yeah.
bet, yeah.
Yeah, fine. I'm thinking, shall I go out and replace it anyway? Because, I'm on about my third Hoover.
Well, if you do, then you'll be doing your bit to reinvigorate the economy.
By doing what? Not buying one.
No, by buying one. Thank you for your cooperation.
And I've been with the job centre on both sides of the desk and on 3 times, and on all those occasions it's been very painful.
Well, it sounds like the job centre, yeah. From my memory, which was a long time ago, there was nothing nice about it.
No. Like the lady was trying to employ people, I was trying to book someone to help me in the flat. So I filled out the form. They were very pleased to see me. And on the first day that they said, well, go home and wait, I had 32 applications, and one lady accepted the job. She only stayed the one day, and that was the end of that.
Right. Okay. It had nothing to do with you. It was all her, right?
Well, yeah, it was too hard for her.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Susan.
Bye.
0845 6060 973. Your trivial first world problems. This one says, I find lime scale build-up in kettles, pans and washing machines inconvenient. Why can't tap water be filtered before it reaches us? Bevs, I tell you what I find inconvenient is people who have water softeners, and it doesn't feel like you can get the soap off your skin. It just feels complete. It's impossible to get the soap off your skin with a water softener. How very inconvenient. You see, these people in the third world, they don't know how lucky they are not having water. Westerham, hello, Mary.
Oh, hello.
Mary.
Yes, I've been listening for about 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's not a problem. I listened to your last caller, and I would dearly love to know how long she worked for the job centre.
Well, sadly, I can't tell you.
Oh, well, with with what she had to say, I've worked for I'm retired now, but I've worked for the job centres for over 20 years.
Wow, 20 years. That's, you get less than that for murder.
Yes, but it wasn't murder. I mean, back in the days when I first started, it was the employment service. And then it went to job centre.
Yeah.
And then it went to Job Centre Plus. And that's, I would say it all changed when it went to Job Centre Plus.
And what's the difference between Job Centre and Job Centre Plus?
Job Centre was more for clients.
What do you mean, clients?
More for the people that was looking for jobs.
Oh, right, okay.
It was more job-orientated. But when it went to Job Centre Plus, you had 10 minutes to see someone and submit. From what I can remember, I've been retired now 5-6 years. It was like 5 jobs in 10 minutes.
So what was the plus part? What change was the plus part?
The plus part came in because you had maternity benefit, you had, what else was it? It was all the other benefits like pensions and income support. They did away with everything. I worked in 23 job centres in my 20 years, over 20 years.
Why'd you move around so much?
Pardon?
Why did you keep switching?
Because I worked at a district office that was in Great Dover Street, and because I worked in district area office, when offices were short, they would send you out, and I went to Alpington, Bromley.
Troubleshooter.
Yes, that was it. That was part of your job, which was very, very enjoyable, because you had the I don't know. I got a job motivation that I got people into work through.
Is it not a bit like being like a GP, a doctor, where you just get a stream of miserable, dejected people?
You do,
yeah.
but if you could spend time with them clients, you know, you get the gist of it. I mean, I worked with the over 50s, I worked with the 18 to 24s, and it was, I can honestly say that my time spent with the employment service, the job centre, but when it went to Job Centre Plus, it killed it all. You had 10 minutes to interview someone and give them what, I can't remember rightly, but I think it was 5 jobs in 10 minutes.
Right. So, in other words, you just...
it was like a conveyor belt.
Yeah. And there's no way in 5 minutes that you can really present somebody with their ideal opportunity. You're just giving them whatever's next up on the list, right?
I got to know a lot of my clients, and I know everybody says about the 18 to 24-year-olds, they can't get up out of bed. They can't. But if you motivate them, but the Job Centre Plus is not giving them the incentive. I mean, I've got 2 children. I've got 8 grandchildren. And, I mean, I know what life's all about, and I did the majority of my working years in Peckham, and that was the worst job centre you could ever be in. But I loved it. But when it went to Job Centre Plus, it all changed.
Right. It's the plus part what ruined it.
Yes, because the plus part, I think, was you had in pensions, you had pension credit, you had maternity, you had everything. You had all these things that you had to deal with. And I'm glad, I mean, I'm sorry that, how can I say...
You're glad to be out of it, yeah.
I took it, but I miss the clientele. I really do.
What, even in Peckham?
Yes, I do, because I lived in Peckham. I mean, I'm nearly 60, and I took early retirement for the over 50s, and I took that at 52.
That's how old I am. You retired at my age?
Yes, I did, and it was a very, very good package.
Well, speaking on behalf of the taxpayer, Mary, you're welcome.
Yeah, but I've worked since I was 15.
Right. 52, you retired. I am stunned.
Yeah, but
Don't you get bored? Yeah, well, I understand that. Don't you get bored? What do you...
I've got 8 grandchildren.
Oh, well, right. Yeah, okay. Not enough hours in the day, right? Yeah. OK, listen, Mary, I've got to move on, but thanks a lot. Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. She said she knows what life is all about, and I missed my opportunity there. I should have asked her, because I have no idea. I couldn't imagine retiring now. I don't feel like I've got started yet. Like, I actually don't. I look at people that are, and it always comes as a surprise to me. I think, oh, he's a middle-aged person. I'm looking at some, successful person. Everyone is a success compared to me. And I think, I think of myself as a kid in comparison with them, and then I remind myself, no, hang on a minute, I'm older than they are. At what point do you feel like a grown-up? Just curious. I'd love to know what well, she didn't say meaning of life, she said what life's all about. I've got no idea what life's all about. Oh, by the way, I wonder if I've won £79 million. If I've won £79 million on the Euro Lottery, I won't care what life's about. I'll pay people to tell me what it is. I'll pay people to turn me over in my bed like they're flipping a fried egg, because I intend not to move a muscle for the rest of my life. Here's calling Brent Cross. Hello, William.
Hello.
William.
How are you, Nick?
Good, thanks.
My first world problem is ringing in radio presenters to tell them I've got a first world problem. But my other first world problem is that Tesco and the other supermarkets are available didn't consult me before they opened a supermarket that was 1 mile from me that closes at midnight, whereas the one that's 3 miles away is open 24 hours a day. And that's the one I want to go to, and I'm in right now.
And they had the audacity to put that one further away than the one that shuts at 12.
It's just so unreasonable. No consultation, nothing. Not even a memo, an email.
And now, are you sure that it didn't get lost in the post?
Well, I did. No, I think it didn't. And I even tried breaking into the one near to me just to make sure it really was
Yeah.
closed.
Well, I can understand why you would do that, yeah. I mean, it seems only reasonable.
Yeah. Would you like any other first world problem?
Only if you have any.
I'll give you one, okay? It's 1 person in 7 is a NEET, not 1 person in 7 are a NEET.
1 person in 7 is a NEET. Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, I know. It's really... And the other first world problem you have is people like me ringing in to correct your grammar.
Yeah, I know. That just winds me up so much. Thanks a lot, William.
A pleasure.
Ta-ta. 0845 6060 973. You can text rather 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. Some first world problems, some first world trivial problems. In winter, says Janus, it's impossible. Janus? Janus. Janus? Janus. I don't know. Something. In winter, it's impossible to use your smartphone while wearing gloves. And if you need to use it, your fingers will freeze. Bev says, I went to buy an electric cooker today from a large retailer. They asked if I wanted it installed for £65. I said I could manage to plug it in myself. Oh, no, madam, it doesn't come with a plug and a lead, so it won't work. That is an electric cooker. I've never heard anything like it. And finally, for the moment, do I commit now to a 24-month contract and get an iPhone 5, or wait for the iPhone 5S, or wait for the iPhone 6, or wait for the iPhone 6S, and so on? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3 at 12:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Andrew Gilligan and Owen Jones are going to be in for Ken Livingstone and David Muller tomorrow morning from 10, and they will, or this morning rather, and they are going to be discussing the big political stories of the week, including, with pressure growing for international action against Syria after alleged chemical weapons attacks, what more does it need to take before Britain and the West should consider stepping in? And former Chancellor Alistair Darling is the latest name to attack the economic benefits of the HS2 high-speed rail project. So where do you think the money would be better off being spent? Where do I even begin? Comics, sweets, cocaine, lap dances, you name it. So that's going to be with Andrew Gilligan and Owen Jones this morning from 10, LBC 97.3. Let's have a call in Brockley. Hello, Dorrit.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Dorrit.
Hello. Yes, hello. I wanted to solve a problem for one of your listeners, rather, her first world problem.
Okay.
And that was not being able to use a smartphone in the winter because, your hands get cold. There are gloves that you can buy in Primark for £1, which, you can still use your smartphone with while you keep the gloves on.
Which leads me to another trivial first world problem, Dorrit, and that is that you look like a right nerd with gloves that you can use your smartphone with.
In the wintertime.
Yes.
In the wintertime. So, they've got like little white fingertips.
Yeah.
And they're £1 in Primark. And if you want to use your smartphone, slide your finger along the screen, no problem. You just keep them on. And you don't have to take your gloves off. Therefore, your fingers aren't going to get cold.
Yes, but you look
And
like
they
that, though.
Well, Well, you know, if people want to use their phone on the street and don't want to take the gloves off, there you go.
I suppose so. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dorrit.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. Some more trivial first world problems. A first world problem, seeing that I'll have to wait 3 minutes for a tube, says Rebecca. And this is the same thing with, what were we talking about earlier on, that people can't wait for computers to boot up. 3 minutes it takes for a computer to boot up. Meanwhile, you're pulling your hair out, screaming at the screen. Same thing with the tube. And you arrive on the platform and it will say 6 minutes to the next tube, and you go, oh, no, 6 minutes? How spoiled are we that we freak out at having to wait 6 minutes for something? 6 minutes for a comfortable-ish train to take us to more or less exactly where we want to go. His call in Orpington. Hello, Ray.
Hi,
Ray.
First world gripes. I've got
Yeah.
a few. Especially you're at the checkout trying to open the plastic bags to pack your shopping in a hurry, mindful of customers waiting behind you, but you can't even begin. You try rubbing your hands together around the bag, picking at the edges, looking helplessly at the cashier, feeling the mingled pity and impatience of those waiting. You know,
the one thing that I don't want to do, having just gone around a supermarket, pushing the trolley, which is probably the most icky and germ-ridden thing that you will touch all day long, including a toilet seat. The one thing that I don't want to do is lick my fingers to try to open the bag, but it's the only way to do it.
Especially when everyone's looking at you, except the cashier.
You know what? I have figured out a way of doing it.
Well, please, share.
Well, a cashier showed me the trick. And you know those really thin bags that they put by the fruit and the vegetables that you can pick out yourself? I mean, they are totally impossible to open. Never mind about the shopping bags at the till. The thin, filmy bags that you put apples and so on in.
That's right, yeah. Sometimes you think, I'll try another one, but they're all the same.
They're all the same, yeah. There's a trick.
Well, come on, I can't wait.
You pull the end part where the handle is, you just stretch it, and you'll find that there's a little triangle of plastic that's on one side but not on the other. And so it's like a little handle, and you can pull it apart easily like that. All you have to do is take the handle and just stretch it where it joins the main bag part.
Well, I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing that...
Well, you say that as though I'm just making this stuff up.
Well, I shall find that out
as though you
tomorrow,
don't believe me.
Another thing that gets me is checkout workers who ignore the customers while chatting to their mate who's just come off duty while I'm struggling to open the plastic bag.
Yeah, what's worse than that is the ones that pay attention to what you've bought and start commenting on things that you've put in your basket.
Several
Anusol, what's that for? You know.
I haven't had that yet, but people who say H, that drives me mad, because they're trying to be posh, and it's H-A-I-T-C-H.
Yeah.
People who talk on their mobile phones in libraries.
That, by the way, is kind of ironic that the letter H should be irritating if it's said with the letter H in it.
Well, yes, because often the people who make a point of saying H are the ones who drop their H's when they're speaking. Yeah. So it's a kind of pretension. I mean, it's not astonishing. I mean, if people I don't care what a person's accent is. If people just want, can speak how they like. What gets me is people who try to be pretentious, who try to be better than they are and fail. That's what really gets me. So these people saying H with exaggeration think they're being right, and they're not. So it's a pretension that gets me. It's not people making a genuine mistake. It's people thinking they're being one-upmen,
Right.
But people who talk on their mobile phones in libraries and people who sit
in libraries?
Oh, yes. Younger people mainly, but the elder are also guilty. It's people who sit at computer screens for hours but prove that the art of conversation isn't dead as they demonstrate to their friends at the screen across the table or next to them, again, in the library. Sometimes they bring their kids along so they can really feel at home. Let them make a joyful noise playing while they chat, again, in the library.
God. Well, this is another excellent reason not to go to the library.
Also, people who park in cycle lanes then say the law should be far tougher on cyclists. Anybody's ears burning out there, I wonder. And most of all, I think everyone will agree with this, politicians who tell us there are lessons to be learned, but not by them.
Yeah.
Let's have a public inquiry.
I know. Let's string them up. It's the only kind of language they understand. Thanks, Ray. 0845 6060. Unless that's going too far. Is that going too far? No? First world problems, your trivial first world problems. Gemma says, annoyingly, you can only buy French bread-style croutons in the larger branches of M&S. Elaine says, sitting on the toilet and realising the new loo roll is across the room, out of reach. And Carlo says that fat people take extra space on a train. Well, I suppose that is a uniquely first world problem, yeah. Watford, hello, Karen.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Nick, I think you've got the most sexiest laugh. I really do. I love listening to you laugh. I think you were so funny. But anyway, what I wanted to say is the Tesco superstore in Watford, I am so annoyed it's got to be a first world problem. Because they've gone and changed it. It's like refurbished, and it looks like a blooming department store now. You don't think that you're in like a supermarket anymore. And they've got these people, well, young people and old people, all different kinds of people, in yellow shirts with stickers on them saying, do you need help in locating where the bread, milk, or whatever it is?
Really?
It takes you about 10 minutes to walk across to find out where the milk or the bread is.
Well, that's an American thing. The Tesco's aren't American, are they? That's Asda that's American. They have greeters in the States.
Yeah. And that, well, in this Tesco superstore in Watford, they've got these people like in yellow. They're wearing yellow T-shirts, and like they'll be like, "Hello, madam, do you need any help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, where's the bleeding bread? You sell bread still? You know, do you still sell butter and stuff?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we do, but we'll walk you across to it."
Yeah.
And then they walk you across to it, and you feel like you're in John Lewis or something. It's only Tesco, and it's so annoying.
Is that how you address them? Where's the bleeding bread?
Well, yeah. Well, I sort of said to one of the young boys in there, I said, "Do you sell bread in here still?" And he said, "Oh, yes, madam, I'm going to take it." I said, "Well, how long is it going to take me to get over there?" And he said, "Well, just follow me." And I'm like, "Oh, my God."
You should ask him if he's got a delivery service. I'll stand here and you can go and get it for me.
Actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So now I go to Asda now instead to the other end of Watford.
Right.
It's like, you know, so I don't really go there.
Well, that'll teach him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to like that. And another pet hate I don't like for first world countries is, you know, like in summer, you've got your duvet, and your duvet's like a light one, then you're quite happy with that. And then come winter, you've got to change it into a thicker one, and I think that's a first world hate, because you've got to keep changing them.
Yeah, once a year,
I've discovered you can... I've discovered you can buy a duvet that does the summer and winter together. You take one off and you put one on.
Yeah, I know. I've got one of those. But here's the bad news, Karen, because there's some days, and I bet tonight is one of them, that even the light duvet is too heavy. So you've got to take the duvet out of the cover completely and just have the cover.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And there's like sometimes, like, I mean, I'm having my hot flushes now, so I can't have either. I've got to just go, still get up, take it all off, and just put a sheet on. So it's really annoying.
I know, how frustrating.
And I'm the same age as you.
All right, thanks a lot, Karen.
All right, bye.
Tara, 0845 6060 973. I know, you have to go through that palaver once a year. What a nightmare. Luke said, these are, similarly, they're trivial first world problems. Luke says, every time I turn the air conditioning on in my car, I can't hear the radio. Matt says, having a country owned by corporations that are unaccountable to anyone and not knowing how to get rid of wine bottles without letting my neighbours know how much I drink. Ah, yes. That place by the bin in the kitchen called the Corner of Shame. What else we got here? Oh, first world problems. I can't have coffee without cream. No other butter, not even organic, tastes as good as that well-known brand with the yellow wrapper showing the picture of a ship's weight. I also throw a strop just before we run out. I can't have coffee without cream. Right. Is that a problem? Tony says, my first world problem is my hot cross buns always seem to get stuck in the toaster, resulting in me risking my life fishing it out with a fork. Also, toasters take too long.
Warning! Warning!
Do not fish it out with a fork. First world problems. Nails taking too long to dry, bad hair days, and very long tax forms.
Boring!
Oh, tax forms. The thing I put off every year until my accountant starts sending me nasty emails. Well, yeah. I know. I should have done it in April, and I always wait until January when you're screaming at me down the phone. Here's call in Barnet. Hello, John.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I've got a first world problem. Me and my brother and my sister, my dad was sitting around, and I was talking about work, my brother was just moaning about school, and my sister's problem was that the TV in her bath wasn't picking up all the channels that covered the area.
The television in her bath?
Yeah, she's got a nice secret, my sister. And, yeah, that was the only thing I was going wrong with her life at that point in time.
You know, people in Ethiopia, they don't know they're born, do they?
Yeah, I agree.
They can't imagine the trouble when you're sitting in your bath and suddenly you can't get Dave and see the repeats of Top Gear. I can understand how she must feel, John. 0845 and does anybody have any sympathy for us? No. 0845 6060 973. Let's have a call in beautiful downtown Milton Keynes. Hello, Melvin.
Hello, Nick.
Melvin.
I don't know if you might find this amusing. I don't know what bus travel is like in London, because it's years since I've been travelling about. But in Milton Keynes, you have a bus shelter, and the bus will only stop above the big yellow letters that say bus stop, about 2 buses away. And you get on the bus, and the driver very firmly says, sit. So you sit down very meekly.
Sit?
Then, yeah, they say sit.
Sit?
Like that. Yeah,
what, like
exactly.
You're a dog?
Yeah. And you sit on the bus, and then you get your grip on the back of the seat in front of you, because it's a white knuckle ride. People pay hundreds of pounds for rides in a theme park, you know, and you go along. And I do worry about the maintenance, because sometimes they sound like they crash and bang, and they vibrate, you know, you hear all sorts of strange noises. And
are you sure you're not talking about a ride in Disneyland?
Well, Milton Keynes bus, yes, cheap, yeah. Mind you, the bus fares. Mind you, and then, you know, 2 experiences this week. I was on a bus, and the driver, the first 3 attempts, he nearly drove into the bus shelter because he couldn't get reverse gear. And then the 4th attempt, he reversed and he stalled, and nearly all of us on the bus nearly got flung into the front of the bus. And another one got to its destination, and smoke was coming out where the engine was.
Well, if in answer to your previous question, travelling on a bus in Milton Keynes is the exact same experience as travelling in one in London.
I don't know what he's... I don't know if you found that amusing.
I find it as amusing as travelling by bus. Thanks a lot, Melvin. 0845 6060 973. What else have we got by text and email? Have I read them all? No? Pick out some that I haven't read and I'll finish with them. Pick out the most hilarious one to end on. No pressure. Let's have Withheld. Am I taking that? No. Onga. Hello, Doris.
Hello, Nick.
Doris.
You know what is the bane of my life?
What?
Believe it or not? Bread.
bread?
Now, well, it's happened again today. Went out for a meal, and I said...
meal. I like meals, yes.
And I said, a slice of bread or crusty roll. So they said, no, we only do brown bread. Well, last week we went out for a meal, quite a big place it was.
You went out for a meal of brown bread?
No, I wanted a slice of bread. I don't like brown bread. I don't eat brown bread. So I explained this. No, we don't do white bread. We only do. So last week when I went,
how can you not like brown bread?
I don't like it.
It's just white bread that's coloured brown.
No. It just seems to upset me when I eat it.
Right.
It's too much rubbish. Anyway, the week before we went out to this restaurant, and I had actually said to her when I ordered, "Oh, you do bread?" "Yes, we do bread," she said. So then I said, "White bread?" "Yes, I think it's got white bread." And she went over to this long performance. This was. She had to go along to the computer in front of the at the end of the counter, which she slithered right along there, and she put it on the screen, and
a computer.
On the till, just tossing away to see if she done it. So she looked and she said, "Yeah," she said, "Would you like soup? Do you want soup?" "No," I said, "I don't want soup." "Well, I've got a bit of a problem," she said. So I said, "What's the problem then?" She said, "Well, it comes with soup." I said, "No, I don't want soup." She said, "You sure?" I said, "Yes."
This is that exact scene from, isn't it, 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson, and he ends up in a restaurant, and all he wants is a piece of toast, something like that. And she says, "Oh no, we haven't got toast." And he says, "Well, what have you got?" She says, "We can do you a chicken salad sandwich." And he says, "Right, I'll have the chicken salad sandwich, and I want you to hold the mayo, and hold the lettuce, and hold the tomatoes, and hold the chicken." And she says, "You want me to hold the chicken?" And he says, "I don't know. Can I repeat it? Can I repeat precisely what Jack Nicholson said in 5 Easy Pieces?" "Oh, I don't know. Go, watch the film. It's excellent entertainment." So did you get your bread?
Well, no. You know what she said? She said, I said, "Well, what is the problem then?" I said, "Because I don't want soup with it." So she said, "Well, I can't price it separately." I said, well,
just give it to me then.
Yeah, I said, "I can't price it as a separate item unless you have soup."
Right.
Which I said, "I'm not going to pay for soup," I said, "because I don't want soup." So I ended up not having it.
What was the soup?
I don't know, vegetable, I think it was, actually. Well, I didn't want that. Not with fish and chips. I have a job for getting through fish and chips without having
She wouldn't
soup
give you a piece of bread because it didn't come separately priced.
No, that's right. It's not. No, it hasn't. It's not on a.
Well, if that isn't a trivial first world complaint, I don't know what is, Doris.
And honestly, it's everywhere I go. My husband's with me, and he says, "Oh, I want some bread," and then he looks and no, only brown bread. "Oh no, we only have brown bread."
Well, you should.
I've got to say it. Marks and Spencer's does the same thing.
You should.
You've got to like brown bread.
Yes. Well, open up your horizons, gastronomically speaking, Doris. Try a bit of brown bread every now and again.
No, don't like it. It gives me indigestion. No, don't like it. No, but I mean, I think it's so trivial when you go in there and because now I know that certain places when I do go and have fish and chips, now I don't bother to ask. But
do you have a thing with? I have a thing with fish and chips. If it's on the menu, I'm drawn to it like a fly to, But it always is a disappointment. Always.
Oh no! Tell you what. Tonight when I went, it was a pub, and the fish was so big. And it was, one of those big round plates, not ordinary round plates,
yeah.
sort of long.
It wouldn't fit on the plate.
Right across.
But that doesn't mean good, though. Big is not necessarily good, Doris.
It was a lovely bit of fat.
Approximately how big was it?
We're looking at 10 inches.
It was really big, actually,
huge.
On this plate. And I didn't want mushy peas, because they always put them on. I just had to say to her,
you should have swapped the mushy peas for some bread. You're not thinking laterally, Doris.
No, they didn't have any white bread. No, they didn't have white bread. I said to them, I remembered it from last time. I said, why don't you get a bit in?
Well, you should go to a different restaurant. Can I recommend a different restaurant? Even in Ongar, there must be 2 restaurants.
No, they're foreign. I don't eat foreign food.
Oh, you don't eat foreign, you don't eat brown bread? Blimey.
No.
The only food you eat is beige. Fish and chips come in one colour.
Not hardly any meat.
Like sort of browny beigey.
You try it next time you go in somewhere and see if you end up with white bread.
Well, I'll eat any kind of bread. I'm multi breadist. I don't.
You're what?
I'll eat anything, me. I like food. Anyway, Doris, it's been inspirational, as always.
Nice speaking to you, Nick.
Ta-ta, 0845 6060 973. How can you not eat brown bread? Here's a call in Morden. Hello, Tim.
Oh, it's Kim. Yeah,
Can I call you Tim?
Yeah.
Tim.
Anyway, my third world problem, trying to get a jacket or outer coat with pockets that have not been sewn up and need a qualified seamstress to unpick them. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, they sew up suit pockets, yeah.
Yeah.
Presumably so that they don't sag, or I don't know why they do that. Why do they do that?
They do it because this stops shall we say, the unwelcome element of our society putting things in them.
Putting their sticky fingers in them, yeah. Yes, well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, why can't they sell the jackets that are ready to go?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks, Tim. Fitzrovia. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Paul.
First world problems. Unexpected item in bagging area.
Oh, painful.
You can't put a postage stamp in your shopping bag without this machine giving you a hard time about it.
What a weird phrase. What exactly were they expecting?
Well, just the bag and absolutely nothing in it.
I refuse to use those things. I just won't do it because I know that I'm going to lose my rag and throw the food down and storm out the shop. I will not use them.
And the bagging area that's too small for your bag, so you have to shove it and tuck it and hook it and...
Yes, that's right. They don't give you enough space for the unexpected item to be bagged.
People who won't let the passengers off the tube train first...
Yes. Correct, yes.
If they do, they wait, crowded round the door, so that the people getting off have to do so in single file.
Yes, that happened to me this very evening, and people, like slack-jawed people, will just stand there staring at you as though the problem that you can't get off the train has got nothing to do with them.
Exactly. And people who, having got off the train, they then exit the platform via the stairs that say exit in emergency only, which is the entrance. And if you're coming down, you've got like a phalanx of these fools coming up towards you.
A phalanx of fools. That's an excellent way of putting it, Paul. Thanks very much, mate. 0845 6060 973 is the number to talk to Christo on, whose voice will be the next you hear on LBC 97.3.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy birthday.
To me.
Is it today or yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Oh, so you're now essentially a year older because you're in that extra year of life
Not
now.
really, no.
Well, you sort of are.
I'm looking fantastic, though. I think you will agree.
Absolutely. If I take my glasses off, you look better than ever. Wonderful, honestly. From 1 o'clock, we won't be talking about that, but we'll be talking about Chris Fountain and work experience and the morality around it.